Imagine walking along the shore of Lake Erie in September 1934 and finding something so gruesome it would haunt the city for years to come. A severed lower half of a woman's torso, cut off at the knees. Her skin was an unnatural reddish color, almost leathery, likely preserved by some kind of chemical treatment, maybe lime chloride. Locals would later call her the Lady of the Lake, and many believe she was the very first victim of what became the notorious Cleveland torso murders. Over the next 4 years, at least 12 more victims, and possibly up to 20, were found, each brutally dismembered, decapitated, and dumped across Cleveland's destitute Kingsbury Run neighborhood, a place riddled with shantytowns, bars, and brothels. The killer targeted the forgotten, homeless people, sex workers, and drifters, making identification nearly impossible. The horror escalated in September 1935. On the 23rd, 2 mutilated bodies were discovered in a gully at Jackass Hill near Kingsbury Run. One was identified as Edward Andraschi, 29, a man with a criminal past who'd worked as a hospital orderly. He had been emasculated, decapitated mid-neck while still alive, and showed signs of being bound before death. Nearby lay an unidentified man, his body covered in oil or some strange substance, with his hair either shaved or burned off. Both had suffered precise surgical dismemberment. In January 1936, the killer struck again. The dismembered remains of Florence Genevieve Polillo, a 44-year-old barmaid and sex worker, were found wrapped in butcher paper and packed into baskets. Like many victims, her head was missing. Though the coroner suspected homicide due to a slit throat, without the head, a murder charge was elusive. June 1936 brought the discovery of another victim, a heavily tattooed man with inscriptions like Helen and Paul on his arms. He became known as the Tattooed Man, or John Doe II. His body was decapitated while alive and drained of blood, a signature of the killer's anatomical knowledge. Efforts to identify him included displaying his death mask at the Great Lakes Exposition, but no one came forward. More victims followed. John Doe III was found in July 1936 near Big Creek, decapitated and decomposed, suggesting the killer sometimes hid bodies. A woman's upper torso washed up near Euclid Beach in early 1937 with multiple knife wounds and gravel in her lungs, indicating she was alive when dumped in water. Jane Doe II, possibly Rose Wallace, found in a burlap sack under a bridge in June 1937, had matching dental records to a missing woman, but was never definitively identified. Additional bodies, including John Doe IV, Jane Doe III, and John Doe V, surfaced between 1937 and 1938, some discovered right outside the office window of Cleveland Safety Director Elliot Ness. These victims bore similar mutilations and morphine traces, indicating a possible drug link. As public fear grew, Ness, famed for his role in bringing down Al Capone, took charge of the investigation. He launched raids on homeless camps, burned down shantytowns, and interrogated thousands, but the killer remained at large. Ness's prime suspect was Dr. Francis E. Sweeney, a World War I surgeon with mental health issues and a family connection to a local congressman. Sweeney was secretly detained and polygraphed by Leonard Keeler, the lie detector's inventor. Sweeney failed both tests, but was never charged due to lack of evidence and political interference. He spent the rest of his life in a mental institution. Other suspects included Frank Dolezal, who confessed and recanted to killing Florence Polillo before dying under suspicious circumstances in jail, and Willie Johnson, convicted for a similar dismemberment murder in 1942, but never definitively linked to the Torso murders. The killing stopped in 1938, and the case went cold. One last chilling twist came that year when a letter arrived addressed to Ness reading, "Rest easy now. I'm out in sunny California for the winter." No body was ever found, and some have even speculated a link to the infamous Black Dahlia case, though nothing was ever confirmed. Today, the Cleveland Torso murders remain unsolved. In 2024, authorities began exhuming unidentified victims to apply modern DNA technology in hopes of finally solving the century-old mystery. The Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run still lurks in history as one of America's most gruesome, unsolved serial killer cases, an enduring nightmare born of poverty, violence, and human darkness. While the killer may never be caught and the victims' identities mostly lost to time, their stories remain etched in history. And now perhaps they can finally rest easy.